Today on Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, we're talking about what I'd like you to remember no matter what. Would you benefit from a list of reminders to cheer you on when you're feeling challenged? Do you sometimes forget your brilliance and need some cues? Are you wondering what's important to keep in mind when decluttering your life? Learn about what I'd like you to know no matter what as we wrap up our month and the podcast focusing on endings and beginnings. Does your clutter own you? On Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, we'll teach you how to become aware of your clutter along with action steps to declutter and create the life you desire. Come on, let's get started. Little weird, the last episode for the podcast is I sit here, and when I did Reawaken Your Brilliance, I was in a studio, so it had a little different feel. Mixed feelings. One relief because I'm going to have some more time, one sadness. Even though I don't do this live and I've done interviews, I feel you as an audience. Just want to remind you that if you're really ready to change your life and just not listen to podcasts, you can check out my Patreon group, Declutter Your Life with Julie Caraccio. It's going to be my main focus now as a way to support people who are ready to move forward and implement change, have weekly tasks and interaction with me. This will be the last episode, but we will have more on Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts that weren't previously published. And then I'm hoping to repurpose some content previously, the episodes that I thought were good, just kind of freshen them up. But as far as made from scratch 100%, this is it. I am honored to have been part of this journey with you. I appreciate you all, and I'm honored that you did this journey with me. I know some of you who've listened to every single episode and let me know that. There are hundreds of things I'd like to say to you all. It has been a privilege to have you as an audience. I've gotten to know some of you personally, and it's been an honor, and you inspire me. And some of you really kept me going when we had some haters and mean people. Again, I'm human. I can let it roll off sometimes, but other times it really got me down. And I said, what am I doing this for? So I appreciate each and every one of you for allowing me into your lives. Again, I feel all that on an energetic level. Today's episode was inspired because I was trying to think of what I really wanted to leave you with. It wasn't easy, so I decided to try and narrow it down to 10 things. My hope is, well, okay, let's be honest. I did 10 things, but would have a little subcategories within 10 things. Because I said, oh, I want to make sure I share that point. I hope when you're down that you can listen to this episode and it'll be a pep talk for you. If you're feeling alone, this will make you feel less lonely. If you need some motivation, if you feel like giving up, I'm hopeful that this is kind of a quick injection to get you going. And while not a summary of 426 episodes, a good overall roadmap or guide. Number one, live in the present moment. As I've said often, this is your point of power to change. Be aware, are you in the past? And if so, that's indicating what you'd like to change. What do you need to do so you don't feel that way again? I mentioned, I believe, in one of the episodes this month that what I learned when I was upset about things in the past and kept ruminating on it, that I had to have boundaries and stand up for myself. If you are mainly in the future, what action can you do in the present moment to alleviate a worry or concern? Because usually when we're way out in the future, that's what that's about. Oh, this might not happen. What if this does happen? How am I going to handle that? Take a deep breath and bring yourself present. Also, with living in the present moment, simplify your life and not just with the physical stuff. That's the easy one because we can look around and see all the items we own. But what about the amount of things you do? One of the things I've learned is I record this, it's holiday season, is not allowing myself to get overextended. In addition to that, who am I spending my time with? My mom's, I think my mom died too young. I'm not going to share. We went with 39. That's what she said. She was 29 for a long time. And I think when my brother finally reached 30 or 40, she said, the baby, she said, "Oh, I think I need to up it and be 39." And in her obituary, we listed her as 39. And it's funny because how it was set up, they have an online thing and it had to put a birthday date. And someone said, and we were laughing, and my father came and we were all at the kitchen table. And we're like, "Oh my gosh, we got to have mom as 39." And we all laughed and we're like, "Oh, she would love that." And so then there was a glitch and they put the actual date. And what was really funny, the funeral director said he got multiple calls. It's the most calls he's ever gotten of people concerned because the date was wrong. And I thought, wow, that's great. I can want your life if you were calling because a woman was listed at 39 and she was older than that. Anyway, I know that she got a big grin on that on the other side. But that just goes to my point of she was too young. So I'm halfway through my life. Who do I want to spend that with? Do I want to spend all my time being around people that get me upset? And that leads into my final point for number one. What matters most to you? Get really clear. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about decluttering your life and clearing your clutter. What are your priorities? What matters most to you? What is your focus? Tomorrow is not guaranteed for any of us. Disregard what doesn't fit or has you working towards what is most important. And remember, during all of this, we're not going to shame ourselves. We're not going to blame. We're not going to judge. We're going to step back and observe. Okay, how can I be more aware and how can I take action to move forward? And I'm not going to judge myself. Number two, celebrate you and your journey and your uniqueness. Even if you have someone with a similar background, with similar interests, with similar lives, you have a unique experience. I believe I chose to experience some things this lifetime. I'm not happy with some of my choices, but in my worldview and my perspective, I chose it, so I can't complain. You are you. You are awesome. Each and every one of you listening and watching has a gift to share with the world. And I'm going to encourage you to keep moving towards that and keep finding it. And if you found it, keep doing it. Don't be in competition with other people. That is just wasted energy. Now, you can have a healthy competition and someone can inspire you and say, "Oh, if they can do that, maybe I can and I can go beyond that." Don't waste energy on competing with anyone. You'll be far more successful if you focus and keep on yourself. When we are looking at other people, that takes the focus off us. We can't always spend our time, well, we can because we have a choice, but if you spend your time focused on the other person and what they're doing, how does that support you? It really doesn't. And it gets you off track about being the best person that you can be. And remember that jealousy is an opportunity to heal. That means that there's something within us that wants to be healed. The same with self righteousness. I see so much self righteousness these days. Raising hand, because I get caught up in that too. But I know that's a signal for me. I need to heal. Use your jealousy to motivate you. Why are you jealous? What is it that other person has accomplished? And how can you use that to motivate you and guide you to create what you desire? Number three, honor your truth. Whatever that is, it's going to be unique to you. Don't worry about others. So many times we can get caught up in what others are going to think, and we switch what we believe to match others. You have to honor your truth and what's important to you. You are on your own unique path. Even if we have a large family, we're in a partnership, we're in a marriage, we still are alone. And I don't mean we're still individual, and I don't mean that in a negative way. We just are all going to experience our own path. And you need to honor what's important to you and honor your truth because people aren't always going to agree with you. And respect yourself and love yourself as you do that. Now, there's always room for reflection. If your truth says, I can be mean to people, I'd encourage you to challenge yourself on that. But I know you all are smart listeners. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I've had to honor my truth sometimes that people haven't understood and have quite frankly told me I'm wrong, and that's okay. They needed to express that. But I have to honor who I am in my unique journey because when we suppress things, they will eventually come out. I did an entire podcast called Why I'm Not an Influencer. And I want you to remember when you are on social media that has a way of making all of us feel awful. I consider myself pretty accomplished, and social media can sometimes bring me down. I think, oh, man, look at me. What have I accomplished? I'm 52. And wow, what have I done? My books aren't bestsellers. I'm not in a humongo home, although that's something all I can think about is who will clean that? But I can compare myself to other people my age and say, I haven't done that, or gosh, they're 10 years younger and look what they've done. I also, as a caveat, I want you to remember that one, social media a lot of it isn't real, it's curated. And in addition to a lot of times making us feel bad, one of the things I also like you to remember, and why I don't like the word influencer, is you are influencing someone. It could be a child, it could be a colleague, it could be a family member. Just because you're not quote unquote famous or quote unquote an influencer, you are having an impact on someone's life. And I want you to remember that. And you are making a difference. Like with the podcast, when I feel like, oh, has this really, are people moving forward? Are they just listening or downloading and not listening? I know because people have reached out to me and said, your podcast has made a difference. One person said, oh, it was a starting point for me. That's awesome. The starting point, and they're able to move forward and find other ways to support themselves. You are influencing someone's life. I don't want you to forget that. And hopefully you'll remember that, to be aware of that, so that when you're doing things, are you having a positive influence? And finally, don't be a part of the herd. I'm not saying don't have your group because we always want to hang out with like minded people, and that's something that can really energize us and support us and be wonderful. But make sure that you're still thinking independently. If you become so focused and so rigid and so one sided and one minded, that's not good for you. It's not good for anyone. So if you find yourself, you know what? I haven't been hanging out with people that have different values or different ideals. Maybe I should just go and hang with someone who doesn't think or look or act the way I do. Maybe I need to freshen up my perspective. So remember to remain you, honor your truth, think individually, and know you are making a difference. Number 4, work on understanding and knowing what you can control: your thoughts, behaviors, and your actions. Nothing else. You can't control someone else. I know I've tried. You can't control changing the past. I know I've tried. You can't control the future. Trust me, I've tried all of them. But remember what you do have control over and what you can change. And I go into more detail on the actions and consequences episode that I did this month. So be aware, okay, this is what I have control over, and that's what I'm going to focus my energy on. Be the change that you wish to see. Bring it back to you instead of always just focusing on others. Oh, the problem's out there. It's so and so's fault. It's because this event happened. And you take the focus away from yourself, bring it back. You have the power to change your life. Yes, there are things that can influence, but ultimately it comes down to you. And finally, know your triggers. It's part of the awareness, and there's no shame. Know what upsets you. When something upsets me or I get angry, that to me is a signal I need some healing. Something needs to change. What is it? I like to eat sweets. I've done really well. I'm super proud of myself. I have been walking and exercising most days. We're gearing up to join a gym. It's really the first time I have to have a doctor's permission to join a gym, which I find kind of ironic. First time in my life, but I think I might have mentioned on another episode, we're the youngest one. We toured. I'm like, yeah, we're the younger ones of the gym. This is definitely where we're signing up. I get triggered. If it's in the house, I'm going to eat it. My self control is not that great. I've really had to work on changing my diet. And so I'm aware of that. So then I don't bring it into the house. I'm aware that if I hang out with people who aren't exercising, that's going to take me off of my game. And so I've already have two walking buddies. So be aware of your triggers, be the change you wish to see, and know what you can control. Kick fear to the curb. Remember, and this is number 5, fear is false evidence appearing real. You can accomplish so much. You are so much stronger than you realize. I don't care what anyone's told you. You are not giving yourself enough credit, really and truly. Trust me on this. So many times we sell ourselves short, and fear prevents us from doing something. Fear that someone might mock us, fear that we might not get what we want, fear that we might not accomplish what we want, fear that this might happen, that might happen. That's our ego. That's our ego saying, yeah, no, don't do that. Probably 99.9% of what we're afraid of doesn't come to pass. Or if something happens, it's not at the magnitude that we think. Our ego wants to keep us small. Our higher self, our sovereign self wants us to thrive. Told you about mine. She looks like a goddess. Her hair is always great. She's in this flowing gown. She wants me to be amazing. She wants me to put myself out there. So remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. Awareness plus action equals change. We become aware, we take action and can change. I'm aware of my fear. Okay. So what do I need to do to change this? I hope you remember to always have hope, even in your darkest days. Please don't ever lose that. Even in my most challenging moments, I had that thread of hope. That was something that could keep me going. When I get down and sad, I remember I've got Tony, I've got the cats. They bring me so much joy. No matter what happens in my life, I have that team, I have my family. And if you are alone, I'm a big fan of adopt, not shop, get a pet, find people who are like you. I know with COVID and 2020 and this year and kind of everything in the world, you can find online communities. You can find groups of people that you feel comfortable with. You can still mask up. You can still see people in person. I hope you never lose hope. And then finally, in this grouping, remember divine timing. When we trust, we let go, we can get into the flow of life. I'm just going to use a reminder of ended up buying my grandmother's house. We had tried, we'd done our due diligence, we had prepared everything if we needed to take a mortgage. And just as a financial cue, know that you can, I never knew this. We have a great community bank here. We are able to borrow against our savings so we don't have a mortgage. So when I pay the mortgage and it's taken out of my checking account, most of it, because we're paying interest because it's from the bank, goes right into our savings account. How great is that? Before the mortgage went to a company. So that's just a little financial FYI. But in divine timing, we had gotten everything, looked at houses, nothing worked out. we'd given up. We just said, I've got to pack. I've got so much going on. We'll deal with it when we get there. We'll figure it out. We couldn't even find a rental. People wanted 2 years, no cats. And they were at the beach, and Mrs. Carter, oh my gosh, your grandmother's house, text tonight, now. It's not going on the market. They're not using a realtor. So we got my grandmother's house. How special is that? Although I'm still adjusting. I have still some piles of paper, and I'm a little overwhelmed still. My office needs some tweaking, but I'll get there. I've just had to extend grace to myself. So I can extend grace to myself, you can extend grace to yourself. So when you let go, which is really kind of the ultimate of clearing clutter, when you let go, then the magic of the universe can happen. Do you keep saying that you'll have the life you desire someday, but someday never comes? Have you been feeling like your clutter owns you? Looking for a little more support that's budget friendly? We'll be doing weekly take actions and creating a community to move you forward so you can discover joy and freedom. Visit Declutter Your Life with Julie Caraccio on Patreon to learn more, or find the link on reawakenyourbrilliance.com. Number 6, everything is energy, whether you believe that from a spiritual or physics perspective. So how are you influencing that? Your thoughts create your reality, and they just start out as energy. They're just there before you put them out. You can feel the energy of your space. You can feel the energy of people. You can have that energetic clutter with your space and people, or someone makes you want to go take a shower immediately. For me, that's practically every politician I've ever met. So everything is energy. So your physical stuff takes up space. That's why in feng shui they say clear your clutter is the first step. Do all those things to enhance the bagua, to create what you want, but energy and clearing energy is the first step. Ask yourself, whose voice is that? Is that from your sovereign higher self? Is that coming from your ego? Is that from your childhood? Is that from your family, society? Who is it? Is it someone in that group, or is it you? Get to know and trust your own voice. So we take time for meditation, we slow down, we breathe deeply, we close our eyes. That allows us to connect to our own inner authentic voice. You have the wisdom within. There are people that can support you in helping to bring that out, but ultimately, you know what's best for you. One of the books I want to write is how I'm calling it Cult Life, Surviving Rosemary. I can't remember which her given name was, that I'm going to write about. And I allowed someone else to influence me too much. And I do all this personal growth work. And I did learn from this woman. And I went to see her for a specific reason. And at the end, after I'd spent, I'm embarrassed to admit this, you're going to read it in the book someday, probably 10 grand of money I really didn't have, only for her to say, "Oh, you never wanted this." That was one of the last things she said to me. You maybe can understand why I needed time to write the book and do that and get through that, and kind of as part of my healing journey, it really needs to happen, and I need to focus on that. So trust your own voice. And then finally, don't be a victim. You can tell I need some healing around working with that woman, because I still feel victimized by her. It is a process. I'm going to encourage you to release feeling like a victim as much as possible. But remember, we're always growing, we're always learning, we're always changing. Healing is continual. I thought when I was younger, I don't know, I wouldn't say enlightenment that I'd reach, but I thought, oh, at some point, I just don't need to do this work anymore. I'm going to be doing it, hopefully, until I take my last breath. Take responsibility for your life. Did a whole episode on that. Don't wallow. And again, do what you need to heal to feel like a victim. I need to write that book. It's not about revenge. It was when I barfed up the first draft because I was so angry. It's now about healing. It is about writing this to support others in healing, to know if you've gone through this. I think one of the things that drives me crazy is you have religious cults, but what about spiritual cults? We say, oh, we're spiritual, religion's bad, blah, 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 blah. And you can have the same thing in the spiritual community. So that's part of my healing. Number 7, feel your feelings. Scream, dance in joy, shout, shake, get it out, all out. Remember, feelings are just energy in motion. They just want to move. They don't want to stay stuck. They don't want to stay stagnant. They don't want to be clutter. Feel everything. Don't make it good or bad. Anger can motivate you to move. Sadness can get you to change. Honor whatever comes up. Don't judge it. Be that impartial observer. And while we're feeling our feelings, don't do what I call the spiritual override. That comes from, oh, and you can be religious in the same thing. Oh, I'm above that. I don't want to get angry because being angry doesn't make me a good spiritual person. That's hogwash. Do not do the spiritual override. Own everything you're feeling, thinking, and believing. Get it up and out so then you can release it. Even the most super spiritual people have challenges. I remember ages ago reading that the Dalai Lama was afraid of flying. Can't remember if I don't know if he ever got over that. But even someone who is a spiritual awesomeness has challenges in life. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you less religious. It doesn't make you less spiritual. It makes you human. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We're in this physical body. We came here and said, hey, let's check it out. I want to learn. I want to experience. I want to grow. And finally, invest in yourself. You're worth it. Don't put everyone else first. You've got to take the time to heal you. You've got to take the time to grow. You've got to take the time to find your passions. You need to share your gifts with the world, whether it's money, time, relationships. Invest in yourself is my sign. If mama ain't happy, no one's happy. That's what my mother had. My sign is happy wife, happy life. You got to put yourself first. You got to take care of yourself. You're worth it to invest in yourself. Number 8, gratitude is attitude. How can you have gratitude? It can be really challenging, especially if you're like, wow, just things have not gone my way for a really long time. Can you be grateful you woke up today? Can you be grateful you have a home? Can you be grateful for health insurance, that you can breathe, that you can drink fresh, clean water, that you have enough in your bank account, that you're going to be able to buy groceries? Gratitude is attitude and can become a way of life. We're like who we hang out with. If you're hanging out with people who can vetch and moan and groan all the time, might be more challenging. There's so many things to be grateful for. If you don't practice this regularly, get in the habit. Okay, when I'm in the shower, I'm going to say 3 things I'm grateful for. Or maybe when you wake up and start the day. Oh, I'm grateful that I had a pillow to sleep in. Oh, I'm grateful the cat snuggied with me. Oh, I'm grateful for my husband. Also, with gratitude, try to find the golden nugget. And what I mean by that is and as a reminder on everything that I'm touching on there, I'm sure I've done an episode. So if you want to explore any of the topics further, then you'll have a whole library to do that. You're just like, wow, you know what? I need little support on this and I want to go a little deeper. So the golden nugget, how can you find something good and a bad thing that happened? Let's talk about my mom dying. What are the good things of that? She's no longer in pain. She's no longer suffering. She is no longer unable to speak. In my belief system, she's still here. She's just all energy. So she's social again. I can see her with the butterflies trying to say, hey, I'm taking a grief class with Barrett and Beth. If you've been grieving, I recommend seeking them out. I've done a couple interviews for them. And she described my mom as an old fashioned phone operator, when they had the things and hold please, and they used to have all those things where they'd plug in. And I can see my mom. She wasn't too technical here, and I could see her doing that on the other side to connect with people. So even in something that was so heartbreaking for me, I can find the golden nuggets. So I'm going to encourage you when things are stinking and not going your way, how can you find the golden nugget? And finally, in this grouping, can you see the glass is overflowing? They talk about half full, half empty. What about overflowing? We're alive. We get to experience life. We are breathing. If you're listening to this, you're alive. If you have a house, if you have people that love you, if you have animals that love you, if you belong to a community, if you have enough food to eat, there's so much to be grateful for. And our glass is overflowing. I have more than one sweater. My glass is overflowing. I have so much to be grateful for. I have so much abundance in my life. I'm going to take the time to really open my eyes and see it. Instead of saying, oh, I don't have this, and that, and all these things I see on social media. No, my glass is overflowing. I have so much to be grateful for. Number 9, your purpose is to love. That's all. Other things I know you want to do and accomplish and be, but your purpose is to love. Love. How can you be more loving towards yourself? So many times we're mean to ourselves, and I yell at this body because she's fat, and I get annoyed at my hip because she needs stretched out and she's feeling kind of tight. How can you love yourself more? How can you say you are worth it? You are awesome. How can I love you more? How can you love your family more? Can you be more patient and say, oh, you're driving me nuts, so, but I love you, so I'm going to work hard on being patient? How can I love you even though you're driving me nuts right now? How can you love people? How can you love your community? How can you love the world? It doesn't need to be this big, huge action. Just saying, I love you, world. I love you, tree. I'm going to, one of the things I like to do is pray for people and things, just someone who's healing now, send them love. Whoever needs to know they're not alone, send them love. That's something that doesn't cost a dime. You can sit and do in a minute, because I talked about earlier, everything's energy. So when you put that out there, you have a huge impact. How can I be more loving towards animals? How can I put love into the world that's love in action in my passion, right? Because passion is just doing something we love. If my purpose is to love, how can I be more loving? How can each and every day I be more loving? How can I do that? How can I put more love out there? If you have to write it down, remember, put a little heart. I don't like having love more as a to-do list, because for me that would take me out of the purpose of just being in love. But maybe put a little heart. How well did I love today? Maybe that's something that I need to put in my little weekly journal here for daily routines. How well did I love today? What did I do that was loving? And then flip that on its head for a moment. Did I put something hateful out there? Ooh, how can I course correct that? And again, we're observing, we're not in judgment, because we are human beings. Now, how can I strive to love more? Your purpose is love. And then finally, number 10, you are good enough, you are worthy, and you are loved no matter what. I don't care what you've done or what you've been through. Now, I'm not saying don't take responsibility. What I'm saying is that you are good enough, worthy, and loved no matter what. If we all felt that way, if we all believed with every fiber of our being that we were good enough, we were worthy, and we were loved, we wouldn't need to lash out against others or ourselves because sometimes we are meanest to ourselves. Someone once told me, and I believe this based on my own experience, that depression is anger turned inwards. So some other people will lash out against others if they're angry, and some of us lash out against ourselves. But if I believed I was worthy, I wouldn't treat myself like that or feel like I feel shame because I did X, Y, and Z and I don't deserve this. Not true. You are that spiritual being having a human experience. You came from love, you came from wholeness. You're just trying things out here. And if I were to say one thing to leave you with, that is this. Because if we believe that, because I think we're either coming from fear or love. And if we believed all of this, we would believe we are worthy of love and that we wouldn't need to fulfill it in other ways. We wouldn't need to lash out because so many of us see ourselves, I have a defect. There's something wrong with me if I don't have 100,000 followers. We in society has skewed us to believe that all of the materialism is what we're supposed to go after. I see women who this is all I see, this look, this what I call this plastic look as women age and say, you know what, don't face your age, don't have wrinkles, don't be fat, don't be that. Because if you don't, then you're not good enough if you don't look like X, Y, and Z. We are bombarded daily with images, sound bites, videos, podcasts, books, telling us that we aren't good enough. And I'm here to tell you, you are good enough, you are worthy, and you are loved no matter what. If you take anything from these 426 episodes, I hope you'll take the 10 day that I talked on, but most especially this. Take actions from today's podcast. Live in the present moment to focus on what matters most. Celebrate you and your uniqueness. Honor your truth and know you are making a difference. Know yourself and pay attention to your thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and actions. Know you're stronger than you give yourself credit for. Trust in divine timing. Be aware of whose voice you're hearing and believing. Release being a victim. Feel your feelings. Invest in yourself. Have gratitude and find the golden nugget. Love and love some more. With every fiber of your being, know you are good enough, worthy enough, and loved no matter what. Going forward, we're going to be talking about and revisiting a variety of ways to declutter your life. If you're really ready to change, check out my Patreon group, Declutter Your Life with Julie Caraccio. Have interaction, take action steps to move forward. I also created, if you sign up for my newsletter, a handy dandy little quiz, self-assessment for you to figure out what your clutter priority is. It's free. You just sign up and you'll get that. And that can be a really easy tool for you to have a starting place. If you're like, wow, I've listened to this, I'm ready to take action and I don't know where to start. If you go to reawakenyourbrilliance.com, you can find that. It has been an honor and a privilege doing this podcast and having you along with the ride. Please reach out, sign up for my newsletter to stay connected. Reach out, connect on social media. Don't be a stranger. Go out, clear your clutter to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire. Clearing your clutter allows you to share your gifts with the world. Get your free self-assessment to discover your clutter priority at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. If you've enjoyed Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, please rate, review, and share us.